Please sit, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to the 2016 Spring Athletic Assembly. The 2016 Spring Athletic season has to be one of the most successful seasons since I've been here at the school. And what I mean by success is the amount of enthusiasm and school spirit I have seen during this term. I can't tell you how many times I have heard all of you, the players, outside of my office, talking about experiences, accomplishments, and recognizing your teammates, peers, and coaches as you were looking at the athletics notice board. So firstly, I want to thank all of you for making this term very memorable for me. And I'm sure I speak for all the coaches up here when I say, hearing all of you so enthusiastic and supportive of each other is what makes everything so memorable for us. I'm extremely excited to hear about all these memories and experiences that your coaches will be talking about shortly, as I'm sure you are. But firstly, I'd like to thank all the people who have helped to make this spring athletic season such a success. Please hold your applause to the end so we can thank everyone together. I'd like to thank the kitchen staff, laundry and maintenance staff, all our drivers, the medical staff, Mr. Ryu and Mr. Samard, all the teachers and the administration. Please help me show our appreciation to them. There are two people in particular that I want to especially thank. They have gone above and beyond in helping me personally. One of them, for as long as I've been here at the school, actually she was here quite a bit longer before I even got here. And the other person, ever since he arrived at the school this year, has been a huge help to me. So thank you very much, both Tal and Miss Elta. Please help me thank them. The coaches, the unbelievable coaches we have at Stanstead College, what can I say? I'll use a quotation from Pete Carroll to help me thank all of you. Each person holds so much power within themselves that needs to be let out. Sometimes they just need a little nudge, a little direction, a little support, a little coaching, and the greatest things can happen. Well, not only do we have incredible coaches here at Stanstead that can guide their teams to great achievements, but they bring out so much excitement, so much fun, so much enthusiasm, and the team spirit in which you are all part of is absolutely amazing. So please help me thank all the coaches. At this time, I'd like to call up the first speaker of the night, the coach of the softball team, Miss Kirby.
Softball has always been a sport that I've enjoyed playing and watching others play. Coaching softball here at Stanstead was no different. This season reminded me of the many things I fell in love with the sport. Softball as a sport is not so much about individual skill and athleticism. Instead, emphasis is placed on leadership, communication, and teamwork. If you focus on these three things, it's anybody's game, and this season was a testament to that. The goal of intramural sport is to be active, have fun, and improve your knowledge and skill of the game. Together this season, I believe we accomplished this goal. This year we had 46 players over 4 teams: the Expos, the Royals, the Blue Jays, and the Cardinals. Mr. Phillip and I enjoyed the group we had this year. We had students that had never played softball before, returning students from last year, and others who play softball outside of school. What I enjoyed the most about coaching softball was watching more experienced players coaching the less experienced players. First off, I would like to thank the captains, Thomas, Andrew, Nicholas, Ariane, Antoine, Jordan, Jean, and Marianne for their work this season. Without them, things would not have ran as smoothly as they did. Secondly, I would like to thank all the players for not complaining too much about running when it was raining and running when it was not. Thirdly, I would like to thank Alta for keeping control of the softball box and to the players for returning the equipment without too much hassle. And finally, the standings for the season. During the regular season, the teams played a total of 12 games. In fourth place, we have the Expos with 2 wins and 10 losses. With 57 runs for and 126 runs against. In third place, we have the Cardinals with 5 wins and 7 losses. With 72 runs for and 77 runs against. In second place, we have the Royals with 6 wins and 6 losses. 83 runs for and 103 runs against. This puts the Blue Jays in first place for the regular season with 11 wins and 1 loss. Congratulations to the Blue Jays for finishing on top during the regular season. Well done, guys. This year the standings changed though after the playoffs. Congratulations goes to the Royals for finishing strong and winning their game against the Blue Jays, which put them in first place. And congratulations to the Cardinals for defending their third place standing against the Expos in the Constellation. Tonight we'll be giving out 3 awards, but before I give out the awards, I would like to congratulate Antoine, Nicholas, and Ryan for being the top 3 home run leaders of the season. As well as Ariane for being the only girl with a home run. The first 2 awards I will be giving out this evening are for male and female most valuable player. I would ask that they both come down together. The recipients of this award are not only good at softball, but have an attitude that is conducive to the game. Their motivation and commitment to their team were second to none. Congratulations to Jeanne Chouinard and Antoine Bellil. Is for the Sportsmanship Award. The recipient of this award was a pleasure to have on and off the field. She was always positive, cheering on not only her team, but others as well. She has a true understanding of the meaning of intramural sport. Congratulations to Jordan Pym. I would like to thank all the players for a wonderful season. I would also like to thank Mr. Phillip for taking care of all the standings and the leaderboard. I look forward to working with those returning players next year. All the best.
Thank you, Ms. Kirby. At this time, I'd like to call up the coach of the badminton team, Ms. Andrews.
So this season we had 2 tournaments that we got to go to. Unfortunately, both of them were right at the start of the season. One actually was before the season started. So our focus was not on competition, our focus was just on playing badminton, which we did. So our season really comes down to this: a little bit of complaining, a lot of badminton, and an amazing, amazing amount of birdies stuck above the basketball nets. Actually, I asked Ms. Alter for a count. We had 40 of us in badminton. Any guesses as to how many birdies we lost? 61. 61 birdies are up somewhere in there. I'm hoping Ms. Alta... I'm hoping Ms. Alta lets us know what day she's going to have those come down, because that's going to be fun to watch. Our Sportsmanship Award this year is going to go to Alex Bim. Not only was he there to help out taking down all the time, but he was willing to play with anyone and just had an overall great attitude. It was great working with him. So come on up, Alex. Thank you to all of the badminton players. It was a really fun season, and see you next year.
It seems to be getting a little hot in here, so if you'd like to take off your jackets, you may do so. Please remember, if you're coming up for an award, to put your jackets back on. Thank you, Ms. Andrews. At this time, I'd like to call up the coach of the junior girls rugby team, Mr. Underhill.
First off, to start, I'd like to really take a moment and thank Alta for everything she did for the team this year, always having the gear ready for us wherever we had to travel. Mark for organizing our schedule, getting as many games as he could, and Ben for being a great assistant coach. So thank you to them. So to give you a quick recap of the season, starting off, we had about 13 girls, only 3 of which had ever played rugby before in their lives. So we had a lot to learn in a short period of time. The lack of experience was probably most evident in our first tournament, where we could not move the ball offensively, could not stop anyone defensively, but made up for it by committing an ungodly number of penalties. So, needless to say, it was a little rough to start, but it also provided a bit of early insight into the character of the team that I had, because no one walked away happy. Most of them were kind of disappointed in themselves, knowing that, you know, they can do better. And when you see that as a coach and you know you got girls who are committed to working harder, that's always a good thing to start with. We started practicing, girls were looking better. We actually started to look like a rugby team at one point. In the next 2 games, they were close. In fact, I think we lost both of them on the last play of the game, or maybe 2 plays before, not sure, but they were close. In our second game ever, we scored our first try, and after our first tournament, I didn't think that was going to happen all year, so that was an improvement. We actually, in our second sevens tournament, won our second game, so that was amazing. I was beyond excited that we got our first W that early. Unfortunately, from there was a series of tragic events that unfolded, the first of which was I was trying to demonstrate how to put a ball into a scrum, and my pants mercilessly split in half. I had 2 thoughts at the time. 1, maybe nobody noticed. 2, I hope nobody noticed. I don't remember what the second thought actually was, but I was pretty sure they figured it out when I looked dead ahead and Alison Barlow was just staring back at me like a deer in headlights, and Jasmine from the background here, Mr. Underhill just tore his pants. Actually, the first thing she said is Mr. Underhill farted, but I didn't know So, tore the pants, that wasn't too good. We had our last game of the tournament after that. We kind of got crushed by Richmond, so not as good. Then we had a game against Galt 2 days later. Unfortunately, we got crushed there too, and we took 2 injuries as well. I guess Jasmine and Valeria are better friends than I thought because they have to get simultaneous concussions. What do you do? 2 days later, we also lost at Bishops, unfortunately, and we lost another 2 players. So it was a really rough stretch, and that took us into the break. And I actually went home over the break, and I was, a little disheartened at the way things were going. And I remember bringing it up to my dad. I said, I got this great team of girls, and I just feel like I've cursed them by tearing my pants. My dad assured me that the only sign the universe was trying to send me is that I'm getting fat. So after thinking about my dad's words of wisdom, there were actually a lot of positive things that, I reflected upon thinking of those previous 2 games we had, and that was, every time adversity reared its head, whether it was a tough opponent or whether it was injuries, these girls never once lost their enthusiasm for the sport, and in fact, it only made them want to work harder. The game at Bishops, despite the fact that we took the injuries that we did, and despite the fact that we got beaten, there was a point we were actually even playing with 1 less player on the field because of the whole injury issue. But at no point did these girls quit. At no point did they complain. At no point did they make excuses. They didn't even notice someone was missing, which is actually a bit alarming now that I think about it. But there was a point when we were losing by 3 tries that they had put up quickly on us. And by the second half, these girls had closed that deficit, which playing a person short is pretty darn impressive. When I thought about that, I thought to myself, I got a really good group of girls and I'm really lucky to have who I have. Now, shortly after the break, we had our last 7th tournament of the year. I had 0 expectations going in. And what actually happened was probably the proudest moment in my entire coaching career because these girls owned this tournament, absolutely owned it. They were relentless, unflinching, and strung together some of the strongest team play I had seen from a team that year. When we played Bishops, first game of the tournament, the only direction they moved was backwards because these girls played such hard defense. Galt couldn't stop us offensively. We would put up 4 or 5 tries because every time someone got tackled, there were 2 other people there to help them out. And Richmond, a team that crushed us all year long, we played them in our last game. I don't think we'd scored a try on them since, or ever. And we actually returned the favor. The only time they ever scored was the last play of the game, but at that point we had already scored 2. So we went from starting 0-3 to finishing 3-0, and that is fantastic. So I cannot begin to express how proud I am of you girls. You were always willing to put in the work. You were always willing to commit a full effort without hesitation. And you were always there for each other, which are characteristics of not only great rugby players, but more importantly, great people. I've already taken up way more than 5 or 7 minutes, I think. No? Yeah, okay, that's not good. Let's get to the awards. I'm gonna try and get through these quickly. I'm giving you 3 junior S's. I just realized I'm giving you a run for your money, Rodell. The first junior S is going to Alison Barlow, who learned the game very quickly and brought in intensity to every game that was unmatched by anyone on the pitch. The second junior S goes to Natalia Rodriguez, who was one of the leading scorers as well as one of our most tenacious defenders on the field. Our last and final junior S, as well as the sportsmanship award, goes to a girl who truly epitomizes everything I was talking about before. Every practice, she's always had the same genuine positive attitude. She's one of the hardest working and smartest rugby players I've had the pleasure of coaching. The final junior S and sportsmanship award goes to Emily Willis.
Thank you, Mr. Underhill. At this time, I'd like to call up the next coach of the junior boys rugby team, Mr. Stanstead.
Good evening. I'd like to echo the usual thank yous. Thank you, Alta. The season went perfectly. From a uniform point of view, couldn't have been better. We wanted for nothing. Mr. Ben Bennett for all his scheduling behind the scenes. Mr. Wells for his support and assistance during the season. And Tal for his guest appearance to teach us how to play rucking. And all the other myriad of people who's too numerous to name. I did have the idea of presenting an extra award tonight, unique to the junior boys. Actually, a couple of awards. But I was told I had to make this speech really, really short. So I'm not going to have time. But suffice it to say, if you found yourself in a bush near Highway 55 on the way back, after eating a bad McDonald's, which, let's face it, could happen to any of us, or if your season came to an abrupt end due to injury, not from colliding with a Richmond 6-foot forward, but a mosquito, or maybe a spider. Though if it was a spider, you'd probably have superpowers, so probably a mosquito. If you all fit that bill, come and see me afterwards, claim your prize. Season summary, we had a good season. Our aim as usual was to take 16 novice and rookie players and turn them into a winning rugby team. I think we managed to do that. We had fun while we were doing it. We had a pretty slow start despite the good weather, and by the time we got to the main tournament of the season at Richmond at BCS, the only tournament that actually had a prize at the end of it, we had a losing record, so it wasn't looking too good. However, due to our focus on tackling and rucking and all the intense stuff we did in the days beforehand, by the time we got to lunch, we thought we were in the final. We tied the top two teams, we'd hammered the other two teams, we looked at the record up on the scoreboard by the hut, and we were pretty sure we were in the final. The reason for that is, we thought we were playing Richmond, and BCS A team had lost to its own B team, apparently, and that put us in the final. And Richmond was a team we thought we could beat and win. However, at the lunch, something peculiar happened, and it seemed that Richmond A team suddenly beat its B team by just enough to put them in the final and put us in the consolation. So that was a pretty disappointing thing. We were pretty annoyed, and we took our disappointment out on the consolation final, and we went on to win every game right up to May break. So that gave us a final record of 11 wins, 5 losses and 2 ties, and I'm pretty sure that we can say we've satisfied our goals for the season. Mr. Wells and I are extremely proud of the team. They worked really hard, they got better every game. And even at the end, when we were playing 10s, which we weren't used to, we were starting to look like a really good rugby team. I think, Mr. G, you can expect 2 or 3 really good players coming your way next year. So, junior boys, bantam boys, rugby team, thank you very much for your team. Before I do awards, it's hard to do awards with rugby because it is such a team-focused game. So there are a couple of honourable mentions I'd like to make. I'd like to call out two of the smallest guys on the team, Olivia Daniel and Ryan Young. These two are the smallest guys on the team, but the biggest hearts. Olivier, fearless, always fake passing, which they began to catch on to by the end of the season, but never scared to run into traffic, try and bulldoze his way through. And I'll never forget Ryan's tackle on 6 foot, the biggest guy on the field, a Richmond forward at TSB. We all thought he was through. He was on his way to the line, he was on his way to score, and Ryan came out of nowhere, clung onto him just long enough to get support and bring him down before the line. And that wasn't the only time. So certainly 2 of the bravest and smallest guys on the field. And of course there's young the elder, the other one, Patrick unfortunately got a concussion halfway through the season, didn't play much after that. Easy award last year because he was just a bulldozer going through everybody, and he was missed very much this year. If we'd have had him for that BCS tournament, I don't think those 2 ties would have been ties. So hopefully we'll see him next year, probably senior, ready to go again. For my main awards, the 3 awards, and we'll come up at the end I guess. Sportsmanship. Sportsmanship for me means doing the right thing all of the time. So not just giving it your best in the game and shaking hands afterwards, but doing your best during practice, being helpful in the restaurants at the meals afterwards, being helpful after practice. We had a number of candidates for that one. It was a very good year for that, but one guy stood out completely, and that was Patricio Flores. He was an excellent sportsman this year, and thank you to him for all his efforts. For the 2 junior S's we're giving out this year, these 2 guys were game changers. We could be in a tight game, it could look like we're going to lose closely or maybe just nick it at the end, who knows, and then suddenly one of these guys had come to life. Hide, 3 times in one game, took the ball from a kickoff. You'd think they'd learn and not kick it to him, but they didn't. 3 times took the ball from a kickoff and ran it in for a try. And then we had to take him off and give him a rest. So he's an amazing athlete, very, very strong. Any sport he puts his mind to and decides to work hard at, even in practice, even through the drills, he will be an elite at. He's a very good athlete. And the other one, Alex Little, now he came to me in March and said he wanted to take a leadership role on this team this year. And I said, okay, we'll see. And he did exactly that. He was made captain pretty early on. He led by example. He's one of the most experienced boys on the team, and he really made his name when he twice at BCS in 2 weeks, or in 1 week even, chipped the ball over the opposing team, landed perfectly in the end zone, and was in the right place to sprint and jump on it. And both those games, it made a difference in that game. So congratulations to you 3. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call up the coach of the tennis team, Mr. Williams.
I'd like to start by thanking Mr. Prévost, Roydell, and Mr. Benbenek, each for helping to make it a great season in tennis. I'd like to present in 3 short sections the Shield winners, a speech, and Mr. Prévost will announce the special awards. So, Michaela Pezlova was a formidable player with exceptional racket skills and a high degree of athleticism. Olivier Fauché, who overcame the odds, played very smart and remained steady even when he was under pressure. Could you please come up and receive your Shield awards? In the second section, I would like to recite a short poem. Where to start? Where to begin? To speak of a team that not only loved to win, they had a passion for tennis, to play and to move, yet most importantly, they loved to improve. They set up for team photos in 1 minute flat. They showed up on time and ran like Jack Sprat. They all had their equipment and looked good on the courts. They made our school proud in this non-contact sport. Just think of Christoph, who smashed on the wall, broke paper targets and gave it his all. He said he would find a way to get the job done. Christoph kept his composure, whether he lost or he won. And winning was not easy, as competition was fierce. Where we noticed shield matches included upsets diverse. Shayla battled to finals, then played a tough match, as she arrived at a trial, then hit a rough patch. Since Misha was not about just to give in, she zipped around like a panther, knew how to close in, like a human wall on the other side of the net. Misha was trouble to whomever she met. For example, Regina at the BCS finals. Misha had to win twice in tennis survival. Another surprise player who gave lots of trouble was Olivier Fauché. He knew how to burst bubbles, and happened to be the other Shield player gold star, who what seemed out of nowhere to go very far. Olivier was unassuming, but he knew how to smack and run around like a jumping bean to defend and attack. Joachim and Matt played in the wee hours of morn. They were gung-ho, tally-ho, alas, 2 good players were born. Sam DeGrasse was another serious guy, who along with Ulysse would do nothing but try. And that kind of effort was at the heart of this team, that no bucket of cold water could wake us up from this dream. And dream they did. They dreamed to get better, like Salima and Maude and Ginger pace setters. They showed us determination, humility, and focus as their progression bloomed like a saffron blue crocus. And Ryan Richardson, straight as an arrow, aimed his sights far, like a tennis Jack Sparrow. We had a player who played in the spirit of Eugénie Bouchard, with aspirations in tennis and really played hard. Her name was not Andrew, because that's another relation, but rather Simonetta, who made quite a sensation. Especially with her experience and form and her serve that drove into the box as Simonetta's shots did not swerve. And Andrew Novak Bouchard was deceptively strong. He's respectful, the kind of team player that just gets along. Andrew made good suggestions, which suggests that he's smart. So maybe one day he'll grow up and teach art. Hey, I'm just kidding. He could be much more than that. He could get into physics and make you do the math. So let's see here. 2 players who played really keen were a mixed doubles set named Michael Zhang and Kareem. These 2 players came highly schooled in the sport. They were perfectly trained and did not come up short. This was a dynamic duo that kept their head low and delivered industrial strength shots on the tape, blow by blow. And Andre Bucatel, with muscle brute force, outpaced his opponents like a quick-step racehorse. Though not always perfect, you could tell he was trying to make that fuzzy little ball go Mach 5 and go flying. We had a 3-way challenge on the redwood tennis ladder. Tanya, Mackenzie, and Tessa seemed to get gladder and gladder, since the more that they challenged, the more that they played, and each one of these girls, in my view, made the grade. Charlie and Alexi were another 2 girls who thought they'd come out and give tennis a whirl. They made it look easy to run around here and there. They were always found smiling and appeared not to care. But care they did, as in their heart of hearts, they're contenders. They like to take action, yet they are serious defenders. Then there was Rosalie, who joined up in this group. She was an important ingredient in this tennis court soup. She stirred it up vigorously with a stringed roundish ladle. Then she threw in the spices, Rose was ready and able. And ready and able was our whole tennis motto. You would think that we won the amazing team lotto, since we came out on top in so many ways, on our green hometown courts or when we're away, because coaching these players was more than a pleasure. You see, some things in life are just hard to measure. So I want to express my sincere thanks, gratitude, for the excellence that you all seemed to exude. And I think that this needs to be fully expressed, that you all made this season the best of the best. Thank you. I'd like to call Mr. Prideaux.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. First of all, we would like to give the Sportsmanship Award to the departing student Tessa Dobson and Ulysse Mera, who were really appreciated on and off the court. Please, come on.
Over here.
We also have two senior S's to give to Shayla Coates and Olivier Fauché, who showed ability, leadership, and good attitude. Please come up. Last but not least, we want to congratulate Michaela Pejdola for winning the Major S Award. Michaela was on the team for the last 2 years, and she managed to become the top female player in both years. In 2015, she won her first Major S after an impeccable season. In 2016, she continued to progress thanks to her great work ethic, mental discipline, and her physical endurance during game, helping the team winning the banner. Thank you, Misha.
Thank you, Mr. Williams and Mr. Prévost. At this time, I'd like to call up the coach for the lacrosse team, Mr. Cologne.
I knew I should have written a poem. I always like to share the gifts that I received from my team with you guys. Last year it was a wig and a keg of beer. This year is once again a keg of beer. I'm not sure if my team thinks I have a drinking problem, but this year's edition of the gift is a huge deal from one Adele. It's one free workout from exotic and internationally renowned strength and conditioning innovator. And on the back side, there's a picture of a freakishly big bodybuilder with Adele's face on it. Since this is an athletic assembly, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the passing of Muhammad Ali this past weekend. And I have sat here in the audience all year hearing our prefects talk about the night before their speech. They would sit down and start writing it. Well, last night during duty in the TOD office of Davis, I was watching the late great Muhammad Ali fighting highlights, fights against Joe Frazier and Sonny Liston. And I just think personally, if we were even remotely as steadfast in our morals and as outspoken in the things that we truly value in our lives as Muhammad Ali was, the world would be a much greater place. So one time for Muhammad Ali. Before I begin, I'd like to thank Mr. Benbenek for organizing your schedule, all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes, and Alta for all the things she does for all of our sports programs. Alta is incredible, and I feel like I thanked her in vain in the past, but this year I really witnessed how valuable she is to our programs how our schedule increased in terms of games. Alta made sure our jerseys were clean and our equipment was ready. If ever we were in a bind, she would clean things herself, and she's just a very hardworking, caring person, so thank you, Alta. I'd also like to thank my assistant coach. But seriously, James Ryu and Dan Gliziani have been nothing but helpful and encouraging all year and in my time here at Stanstead. Dan is a terrific coach and mentor. He's a professional coach. He's always believed in me, and that has instilled tremendous confidence in me as a coach and as a person. James is a talented, hard-working man. He's inspired countless students at our school, and I hope he truly understands how valuable he is to the school and to this community. So thank you, gentlemen. I have been obsessing over this speech for a few weeks now. I want to fully, completely explain how proud I am of these 17 young men, how proud I am of this sports program, and how much I have learned and experienced over the last 3 years in my time at Stanstead College. I have concluded that, as Stephen King wrote, words diminish things. Words attempt to paint an authentic picture, but they are often a reproduction. That is to say, words can only attempt to describe our successes and achievements, failures and shortcomings. Words can only attempt to describe the great objectives this little program in Little Stanstead, Quebec sought to achieve only 3 short years ago. Big words. I can stand up here and give you an overview of our season, but I think a referee at Kimball Union Academy summed up our team best when he said, "That was great, really great. The heart that you guys play with. That was my favorite game reffing all year. Very impressive, coach. Very impressive." Because of our hard work and how hard we work together, he was at a loss for words. And so too am I when I try to explain how great this season was. So, simply put, thank you, men, for trusting in me and for many of you taking a chance to play this new foreign sport. We had fun right to the end. I am so thankful that I experienced this season with you guys. Tonight we have a few awards. The first is our Sportsmanship Award, which is previously our only award. This one goes to one of my all-time favorites, Dixon Lung, or Dixie as the boys call him. Dixon practiced hard, played occasionally, supported the team at every chance he got, and he was a great teammate and a great opponent. And this more than justifies his awarding of the Sportsmanship Award. We also have 2 Senior S's, which is something new for the lacrosse program. The 2 recipients of the coveted Senior S are Liam Stagg, our team captain, and Philip Doucette, our assistant captain. I placed a lot of pressure on these 2 to lead our team and to establish our team identity. They did a great job, and I'm so happy to be able to award them for their hard work and commitment this year. So please come up, please. We have one more award. This is a very special one for me. This program began in 2013, 3 years ago when I first came to Stanstead. This player has been a member of the lacrosse team since its inception, and he's influenced the program immensely in a plethora of ways. This year he made the ultimate sacrifice for us. He agreed to become our goalie, and he was quite a good one, and easily the most physical one that I've seen in my time. In my mind, there is no one more deserving of this award than Jordan LaRoche, and for this I award Jordan the first ever field lacrosse Major S. Just some final words. Thank you, Mr. Headmaster. Thank all of you, my friends, for making Stanstead, Quebec my home for the last 3 years. I will always cherish my time as a Spartan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colo.
We had no tournaments in the rain or snow. I didn't get hit many golf balls this year. We had 2 assistant coaches who were awesome, Mr. Mike Fowlis and Mr. Logan Vanas. Neither of them are here tonight, but thank them both very much for their driving, for offering advice, for helping kids work out kinks in their swings and in their putting. I know that the golfers all really appreciated your help and support, as did I. And lastly, the golfers played well. No, actually, they played really well. Our tournament started and we never looked back. At the first tournament at Milby, we had lightning fast greens that killed just about everybody's score on the day. But John Wood Downey held strong and won the low gross, leading the Stanstead top 4 to their first victory of the season. A week later, we headed back up the 143 to the old Lennoxville golf course, and John came out on top once again. Here we go, back down to Stanstead, taking home medalist honors with 2 down and 2 to go, and things are looking pretty good. Next up was our home tournament. And again, we had a third team victory. No medalists, but congratulations at this tournament to Anna Thinfang on finishing second place, 2 strokes behind the leader of the tournament. So our final day was a Monday morning, ETAC finals. We had a rough departure due to van issues, forgotten shoes, and basically everything that could go wrong that morning did. And we pulled into the Cowansville parking lot 5 minutes before the first tee time. No time to hit balls, no time to putt, no time to even get a drink of water or go to the bathroom, but thankfully it didn't faze the team. And they came out once again and pulled off a resounding team win. And this time, low gross of the field was won by Anna Thinfang. Congratulations to all 18 of you. Each and every one of you improved your game over the course of the season, and you should all be very proud of mastering a game that will last you a lifetime. So when you're old like me, you can still play golf. My first award tonight is a sportsmanship award. I've chosen this year's winner for multiple reasons. Number one, he's dedicated, can always be counted on for being helpful, polite, and incredibly funny. You all think that Connor Fletcher's very quiet. He's not. His commentary and his behind-the-scenes interviews in the vans on the way home from tournaments kept everyone in stitches. He's been part of the team for 4 years, and while not the top golfer, he's been a contributor to team scores for all 4 years. I want to wish him well as he moves on to St. Lawrence next year and hopes to play golf there. So congratulations, Connor. The next awards I'm going to give out are for the Golf Shield. While there was a lot of individual talent on the team, it takes a whole team to make the victories for ETAC banner. We did win the banner. Unfortunately, we don't have it here because it wasn't ordered, so we'll be getting it soon. I have 2 players this year who are co-recipients. This is a first. It's an internal award for overall best golfer within the Stanstead team. We were unable to play our final round last week because of the full day. So being tied, I decided to co-award this. So congratulations to John Wood Downey and Anna Thinfang for being the recipients of the Stanstead Golf Shield for 2016. Awards to present tonight. The first one goes to a young man who's been solid as a rock all season. He's in his 4th year on the team, and this year he's really matured as a golfer and I think as an individual. He no longer gets flustered. He's able to work through a bad shot or a bad hole. He has the potential to do very well in this sport, so watch out for this guy on the PGA Tour sometime in the next 10 years. Please join me in congratulating John Wood Downey on his major. My last award is likely no surprise. This golfer has a handicap as soon as the tournament starts because she has to play from the same place as the boys and she has to compete against the boys. There is no girls competition, so she's playing from the same tees as the guys, not from the women's tees, and she competes with them. You can ask any of the pros who've seen her swing. This one is also going to be on the LPGA Tour. She's a pleasure to coach. She's always positive and upbeat. She'll go out and play with anyone. She'll go out and play with the younger players on the team and be a real mentor and a role model for them. If we can convince her that she really should be playing golf all the time, I think she'll do very well. So please join me in congratulating Anna's been back.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. At this time, I'd like to call up the coach for the senior boys rugby team, Mr. Grenier.
Thanks, everyone. Sec here. Here we go. So first, I'd like to just mention the Tamayos who were here. Pato and Tulio were both playing on the team this year, and Tulio kind of convinced me to let the two brothers play on the same team. I wasn't sure, you know, like Pato is grade 9 and I wasn't sure. It's a safety kind of concern, and so I think that's a pretty cool thing that the parents are here, so I'd just like to acknowledge that. It's cool to have raised two brothers that care about each other that much. My brother's a year and a half older than me, and my parents would have probably said, don't ever let them play on the same team. I'm going to go quick here through my thanks. It seems like half my speech is thank yous. Thanks to Mr. Bembenek for the season and organizing everything. Thanks to Alta, you've been doing this for a lifetime. I hope you got another lifetime in you. And thanks to Jose and the physios. We had a couple of bad breaks this year, and I mean that literally. Will Huckins with his clavicle and Jacobo leg. And Huckins was able to make it back in the final and actually scored, which is pretty amazing. And Jacobo, my heart goes out to you. You know the team played for you. So. If my friend Mr. Van Dyke mentioned in the fall athletic assembly that his boy Drake, he's talking about his team, started at the bottom, now we're here. What my boy Drake meant was, we started in Bermuda, now we're here. I'd like to thank the people who made that happen. And there's a number of people who made that happen. I call them the soccer moms, because I'm not sure I want to call them the rugby ladies or the cheerleaders or whatever. It just doesn't sound right. Like the soccer moms who take care of things behind the scenes. I'm talking about Lara, Marley, Megs, Momoko, Smonetta, and the Queen, Charlotte. We are not worthy, we are all your humble servants, Charlie. Yep, we are your humble servants. I got to thank Grenville, of course, personally. Grenville sent me an email in February saying, sir, what do you think about this? And he sends me a link to the Bermuda International Sevens tournament. And then he followed up on it every couple of days saying, sir, what's going on? What are you thinking? Like, are we doing this or not? And I'm like, oh boy, because I know all the work that's involved in this. And he finally got me to agree to do this. And I want to thank his dad for being an awesome host while we were down there, and his grandfather and his grandmother, all the lines, and your brother Austin. I think you have an awesome family. We had supper at David Lyons' house, and it was amazing. I got into a conversation with David and his wife, and David went to McGill, and they're from Montreal, and it was a pretty cool experience overall. And I want to thank all the Lyons. They call each other Lyons all the time. I think it's a cool thing. I want to thank you, Grenville, personally. Thanks. And finally, two guys who I couldn't have gotten through Bermuda with at all, and through this rugby season without. I think I have a bit of a man crush on both of them. I'm not sure which one to choose, really. I'm talking about Tal and Underhill. And Tal is kind of cute, Underhill's not. But Underhill's funny. Boy, is he funny. I don't know if you have him as a teacher or not, but at some point sign up for one of his classes because he's hilarious. And if you can get to know him, he's an awesome guy. And I wish Tal was sticking around longer. So thanks to both of those guys for making my life awesome. If you know me and my speeches in the past, I try to think of something. I pick a topic that's relevant to everybody in the room, not just the rugby team or the soccer team when I coach the soccer team. I try to think of something that's relevant to all the athletes in the room. So this year I came up with team unity. Team unity is something that sometimes you got, most often you don't, and sometimes you got it and you lose it. And you might get it back. And I'm not sure that we did this year. This is the type of team I had this year. We had some awesome team unity, and then we kind of lost it, and I'm not sure we ever got it back. And here's the story behind that. By going to Bermuda and then coming back, we already had an awesome sort of core of players who, some of them were rookies, but just bringing that experience back with them, we're able to initiate all the other guys on the team. So we had 23 guys total. There were always 3 on the injury roster at some point. So with 20 guys playing at all times, we were playing 15s to start the season, and I asked Mr. Benbenek to sign us up for some pre-season in Montreal against 2 teams whose coaches I know, St. Thomas and Selwyn House. We went there, played on Terracotta Field in the West Island, and we beat both teams 5-0, 5-0. This was pre-season. I walked up to the coaches afterwards, and I'm like, they're saying to me, hey, you got a good team there. Wow, you guys got some good experience and all that. I'm like, well, I'm being myself. We always got something to work on. I don't know. I'm never happy, right? So I asked them, how was your season? And how was your season last year? It's like, well, actually, we're the best in Montreal. We played each other in the finals. So when I went back to my team and told them that, I'm like, hey, guys, we just beat the 2 best teams in the Montreal area. Right? And that was the first games of the season. So that was a pretty awesome experience. And then we go down to New Brunswick to play in Rugby Fest. First time in 25 years. The last time we were down at Rugby Fest was Mr. Samar driving a van, along with Roger Marino, then the coach of the senior boys rugby team. And we hadn't been back since. We've been to a lot of case tournaments, coast to coast. But our first time back in the Rugby Fest, we didn't know what to expect. I entered the 2nd division. Top division is 8 teams, 2nd division 8 teams, 3rd division 8 teams. So I entered the middle one, not knowing what to expect. 2 pools of 4 teams. We beat everybody in our pool, ended up first, and King's Edge Hill beat everybody in their pool, ended up first. So we're going to play each other in the finals. And I had snuck off between games to see Kings play. In all honesty, they were better than us. They're stronger, faster, they make all their hits, so they spin the ball really well. They really do the phase play in rugby 15s, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, if you understand the game. So they were just a better team. I thought they'd beat us 30-40-0. They ended up beating us 7-0. And at the end of the game, I saw something I've never seen before. 3, 4, 5 boys crying. Never seen that, honestly. 4 or 5 guys crying because they actually played their hearts out and thought that they should win that game. And we were so close to winning it throughout the game. And right in the last couple of minutes, we were on the goal line and they were pushing us back and we almost tapped the ball down. It was so close. I realized then that we have awesome team unity. It's amazing to have that. And then we lost it. We came back, we played a month of 7s. Through no fault of our own, the league could not field enough players. Certain teams couldn't field enough players, so we had to play 7s. That means instead of 15 guys on the field, you have 7. And I made 2 teams of 7. So what happens when you do that? You have a choice to make. And Tal and I discussed, do we dilute the teams or do we make a true A and a true B? So we decided to go with True A and True B, just thinking the competition from other schools is going to be pretty tough. We're going to need some really good players in the top, so the top 10 and the bottom 10, right? Of course, when you do that, your team starts to fragment and separate in two. So that was my first experience doing that. We've always played 15s in the season. This year was the first time we played 7s. So my message to you guys, and I hope we kind of got it back. In the final, I noticed all the Team B players rushing onto the field. We won lots of hardware. I'm not going to go through all of that. We won all the banners. We were undefeated. We had a heck of a season. We were amazing. But what was amazing to me was to watch the B players run onto the field and be part of the photo. We didn't take a Team A photo. We took a full Stanstead College team photo in hopes that we could get that team unity back. And to the guys returning next year, it's going to be your job to make sure that we have that team unity. That's my speech to you guys tonight, is to tell you that sometimes you have it, most times you don't. Often teams don't have that type of unity, and we had amazing unity, and we kind of lost it, and I hope we got it back for next year. I hope. So you guys were a great team this year, and I want to carry that into next year. Thanks for being the team that you were. In terms of awards, I'm giving 7, but I'll go quick. The first one is the Sportsmanship Award. Just like every team has a Tulio on it, to keep things, light and fun, and he's awesome in practice, and in the game, he's amazing. He's that kid who carries the ball and starts, winding his way through traffic, and nobody can hit this kid. I'm not sure why, but he's just amazing that way, so I love that about Tulio. But every team needs a Ben Smith, and Ben Smith is that kid that when everybody is arguing about who's going to go get the pennies, when the coach needs the pennies, Smitty's halfway there. Already, just getting them, right? Doesn't need to be told, he just goes and gets them. So he's always ahead of the coaches. I love that about you, Smitty. So come on up, you earned the Sportsmanship Award. I'm giving out 3 senior S's, and the 3 senior S's go to Carson, Ante, and Bruno. And I would take a team of these guys. Carson is a veteran already on the team. He's super positive. He captained our team at the GMA A7s and did a great job. I'm looking forward to some great leadership next year. Honestly, to the 3 of you guys, you want to go back to Mexico, to Finland, and to Korea and recruit your friends and bring them down here. If they're like you, I could use a whole team of the 3 of you. You guys are senior S winners because you have an awesome work ethic, you're really positive, you work as hard as you possibly can in practice and in games, and you're a great model for the entire team. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Come on. I'm giving out 3 major S's. I'll call them up individually. The first one is to Grant Baird. He was our team MVP last year. He's a re-award. He's won this before. And Grant is the type of player, he's the X factor on the team. Every time we give him the ball, and it's a little bit by design, he takes 2 or 3 guys with him. The other team has to adjust for this. Some teams that are really good have a tactic for team tackling. Most teams don't. They don't make it that far into their practice schedule to figure that out. So they just throw everything in the kitchen sink at Grant Baird to try to stop him, right? And then that creates so much space on the field for us. I wrote to, he's going to be playing for Team Quebec for the Voyageurs, the U19 team this summer, and I wrote to John Lavery in an email saying, you know, like listing the things that he's got pretty good sports IQ, great hands, he can tackle really well, smokes people on the field. He's great with his foot, actually can kick a really, really long way. He's got all kinds of great skills. He's a big man, but the thing that people underestimate the most is, of course, his speed. And so these are all things that I think might allow him to play at the next level. Anyway, I wish you the best, Grant. Come on up. Okay, I'm going to call these guys up together, actually. They're both receiving major S's, and they're both receiving the Donald Ross Cup for Most Valuable Player. I've never co-awarded before. I always think it's a bit of a cop-out. I always think, come on, coach, you can separate the two. There's got to be something that makes one more valuable than the other. And Tal and I discussed it for a while, and we couldn't really separate the two. Grenville Lyons has grown a lot since last year. He was I call him a kid last year because he got 3 yellow cards. He was suspended for a game. He was yelling at refs, the other team, probably at me at some point. He's a bit of a loose cannon and a gong show, and he was not that at all this year. So he's kind of a kid last year, and this year he's grown up and he's a man out there, and I love that. His leadership is amazing, and he's learned what it really takes to be a true leader, and I appreciate that. And Nick Burleson, last year there was a guy on my team called Andres Montalvo who was like a son to me. I remember the two of them were senior S winners, and I referred to them as that. I said one is like a son to me and the other is from New Jersey. And now this year the kid from New Jersey is the kid winning the major S and the MVP along with Grenville. I think the two of you showed some awesome leadership this year. You were constant threats on the field. Like you basically showed the team what it takes, the type of passion it takes to step up when it's a big game and make the big hits, make the big plays, create those openings, do what it takes, you know, like do everything that it takes to just sacrifice and commit and take your bumps and bruises and do everything you need to do in order to win that game and show the rest of the team they need to step up too. So congratulations, boys. Come on. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Grenier. At this time, I'd like to call up the coach for the senior girls rugby team, Ms. Hessian.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start, like most people do, with a round of thank yous. The first thank you goes to a guy named Webb Ellis. For those of you who don't know him, Webb Ellis was the genius who picked up the ball and ran with it a long, long time ago. Created this game that allowed us to use our hands and our bodies and our feet. I'd also like to thank Tal and Mr. Badminton for all their work behind the scenes in making our season possible. We were all over this country and it was important to have your work behind us, and we really appreciate your support. On behalf of my athletes, we'd like to thank the teachers and the parents for everything that you did that stood behind us and your understanding in the classroom when we were away and in supporting us in those endeavors. I would also like to thank the Health Center, and of course we'd like to thank Miss Alta, who was always, of course, right there with us. It was always so touching, you know, when Alta's there and it's super early in the morning and she's just waiting and waiting for us to go so that she can get on the bus and wish us good luck. And she's there when we get back because she wants to know how we did, and we really appreciate that personal touch. And from the girls' perspective, we wore about, I don't know, 4 different sets of jerseys. And Alta was exactly how many do you need? And can we get them back by this time? Because the junior girls have a game, but junior boys have a game. And she wanted to make sure that we could get away without being tackled unnecessarily by our shirts. So we appreciate your player safety mentality, Alta. So thank you. I'd also like to thank Mr. Grenier and Mr. Underhill and Tal for their work with us in the preseason and their conversations and chats about rugby and about what makes great athletes, and that's always certainly more important to me professionally, I think, than maybe the athletes rub off, but it does come down to them, and that's very important also. And of course, I'd like to thank Miss Norris, Emily Norris. For some of you, she was maybe a teammate, a head prefect, and she's been away for 2 years, and very happy to have her back as a full-time assistant coach this year. For you girls, you know this is in a season of very important people and meeting very important people, and you're very fortunate to be able to have someone who has the leadership and patience and the genuine care that Emily has, along with her experience, and that she wants to give that to you for a number of hours every single day. This isn't something that you'll experience for the rest of your life, so please take the time over the next few weeks, whenever you get a chance to see her, to thank her personally for everything that she's done for you. So thank you, Emily. I'd also like to thank all of our fans that came out to watch our games, in particular the finals down at BCS, the fan bus that came down with the senior boys, and a number of faculty here took time out of their busy day to travel down there to watch us play for a championship, which is not something that every team always gets a chance to do, and an opportunity that we certainly took very seriously. And I know that we were down by a lot of points with not a ton of time left in the game, that your encouragement and your support, we kind of looked around and they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, they're with us, you know, we can do this. And of course that'll come back again, but also like to make mention of Mr. Samard, who spent a lot of time in the last few months making sure that the ETIAC League and the Senior Girls Rugby had an institutional memory, and he redid the entire trophy, and it was very touching. He was able to present it to the girls at the end of the playoff championship, and you can see that the care and attention that went into, of course, making that trophy and instilling that institutional memory, but also in making sure that the legacy of rugby excellence, since, you know, for a long, long time here at Stanstead, will continue, and we appreciate that. So thank you, Mr. Samard. We had a number of junior girls who were able to come up and help the senior girls. We certainly didn't have a huge amount of numbers. So Morgan, Allison, Emily, and Sophie. Sophie Legler made a game-saving tackle in the finals without a lot of time left, and that was really impressive. We really appreciate your willingness and your courage to step up and to be there for your team and your school when they needed you. But also like to make mention, while talking about junior girls, of Alyssa McPherson and Alexandra Smith and Louisa DaCosta. Louisa's in grade 8. The other two are in grade 9, who decided that they wanted to take on the challenge to play varsity. They wanted to play the senior game. And, you know, in the beginning, do you think we can try out? And I said, well, I don't know, I'm not sure. And, well, you can come to the first practices, and, you know, we'll see how it goes. And really, it was me seeing how it went, because your tenacity and your courage and your ability to just put it out there every single day impressed me, of course, but I think it also impressed some of the seniors. And you were running circles around them sometimes. So congratulations for your efforts, and thank you for being with us. So to talk quickly about our season, it was approximately 8 weeks long. So although with a few training weeks in there, it looks like it was a little bit more like 10. But when I looked at the calendar the other day, it was 8 weeks. Between April 21st and May 31st, we played 25 games. We won 24. In that period of time, we had, from the time we went up, after we came back from Rugby Fest, after we went up to Richmond to that sevens tournament, we had 6 practices. That's it. through the end of our season. In one of those, it was a snowstorm, and in two of them, we focused primarily on walking. So that gives you a pretty big snapshot of what our season looked like in terms of games, practices, and the amount of effort that these girls had to put in all the time. So I mentioned Rugby Fest. I mentioned that we had 25 games and that we won 24 of them. So our season started on April 21st when we went down to New Brunswick to play in Rugby Fest. A tournament where almost every team was, it looked like when we first got there, a lot bigger than us. Well, they certainly had a lot more people than us, there's no question there. But whether they were bigger than us, I'm not sure. Whether they had more heart than we did, I'm 100% certain they did not. We were undefeated in Rugby Fest and we came away division champions, which was very exciting, especially for Emily and I, because we were a little bit nervous. We only had 17 people, and we were awesome. And that's how it started. The season started awesome. We came back, we went up to Richmond Sevens. It takes 7 people on a field. We had 2 teams, and we had 14 people. That's no subs. Both teams went undefeated, so both champions of the tournament. After that, a week later, we went up to Montreal. We had 1 team, undefeated, GMAA champions. Week after that, Abenaki Sevens, 2 teams, undefeated, both champions, again. And then finally, the season ended when we came right back. I don't know if you remember our last practice on April 20th. The last time we were on our practice field before we headed out to New Brunswick. When we gathered a team, we said, okay, this is it. This is where we want to get back. When we want to play for a championship, we want it to be right here. And we didn't get it to be right here, but we did get a chance to play for a championship, and we certainly made that event meaningful. And that came down to May 31st last week when we were effectively ETAC playoff championship for the first time since, I believe, 2011. So that's a lot of accomplishment for not a lot of people. And every single ounce of that accomplishment is down to your hard work. But that's us. That's what we're all about. So this was my 13th rugby season here at Stanstead College. Now for many, 13 is a scary number. For others, it might be a special number. For me, I wasn't really sure, but now I'm sure. It's a special number for me too. So Emily and I had a good conversation, and we came up with, on my 13th anniversary, of 13 pieces of advice for success in rugby as a metaphor for life. So 13 pieces of advice. The first piece of advice is play till the whistle. For every second counts, and you can't afford to concede any moment until you finally reach that goal, even those last 22 seconds. Piece number 2, don't pass the ball to the other team. That's a mistake, and you'd be surprised how often I had to mention that this season. But whoever comes out with that ball, she's going to want to score, and you're going to have to do twice the amount of work to get it back. Piece of advice number 3, it is better to kick than to receive. Even a small mistake can be an opportunity if it happens right where you want it to be. Piece of advice number 4, don't step on the cones. That's not a joke, don't step on the cones. Even those tiny details matter. And paying attention to those tiny little details will teach you to do the right thing even when no one is watching. And those tiny details are what builds championships and success. Piece of advice number 5, always be prepared for the situation. If your shoes are untied, you're going to trip. More importantly, you want to make sure that you always have your jam on your iPhone so that you don't end up singing someone else's favorite song in front of the whole team blindfolded on the bus. Piece of advice number 6, every missed tackle is a try. It takes trust and commitment to get your feet and your shoulders in the right place, but you know that everybody on your team is counting on you to do it. Number 7, be unstoppable. And I mean it. Sometimes this means rethinking your game plan and dealing with the unpredictability. Do not let that unpredictability stand in your way. Piece of advice number 8, watch your language. This means more than just Kavanaugh's. It also shows a lack of self-discipline and respect for the game, your teammates, the coaches, and the officials. That is another one of those tiny little details. Number 9, Look sharp, play sharp. Now that means more than just pulling up your socks before you go to work. It could mean rocking the kimono under the radar at McDonald's. Or at team meetings when your sweatpants don't match. Piece of advice number 10. Put your hands down in front of you when you go to block a kick. Now this is not a metaphor for life, but it might mean a championship winning try. Piece of advice number 11. Pay attention to the important people that you will meet along the way. And I was happy this season to be able to introduce you to many important people to me. And what I learned because of that is that, or what emphasized because of that, is that your teammates and your coaches 5, 10, 15, or even 21 years down the road, like my high school coach who we met in St. John's, will come back and show you that they really are an important part of your life's big picture. Piece of advice number 12. Meet your commitments. And if you take a second and close your eyes, you remember what your commitment is. It is paramount that you show up and be the person that you said you would be. And piece of advice number 13, you can do it. You know you can. The one thing that we all learned this season is that you always, no matter what, have 3 big steps. Just have the courage to take those 3 steps, and you're already there. We believe in you. Thank you for sharing these moments with us, for tying up your cleats tightly, for putting your mouth guard in, and for putting your heart in your hands and seeing where that could lead us. It really was a special opportunity, so thank you. Okay, we also have some awards, and I'll try to go through them as quickly as I can. We have 3 Senior S Awards, and Ms. Norris and I came up with power words for these players that would identify, I think, what we thought were some of their important qualities and characteristics for this first athlete. The power word was consistency. Despite living continually under the spotlight and the pressure cooker of playing fullback, she was a star performer. She did our restarts, took extra points. She became an expert catcher. She's the ultimate game player. I think she even lifted in a lineup this year, and that star performer was Maya Daigle. The second, the power word was commitment. And when she set her mind to doing something, that was it. It was the end of the story. Didn't matter if she was crawling on her knees with her hands wrapped around somebody's waist. If she decided she was going to make that tackle, she was going to make that tackle. And that, I think, that approach, especially in the rucks, especially back in the beginning of the season, was what allowed us to secure the ball. It allowed us to have that platform, and her work in the rucks allowed us to have possession of the ball most of the time. And that committed player is Susanna Wolfe. And the third, the power word is head first. She uses her head first. She also goes head first. She's an instigator, creates space for opportunities for herself, but also always for everybody around her. She does the work to make everybody else look better. Her specialty this season was to shoot up on defense, create a pressure situation, and even though we didn't have the ball, we had the opportunity to get it back. She is also the hands-down winner of the Sportspersonship Award, and that's Kayla Willett. So please come up, everybody. with our Major S awards. The first one, the power word that we came up with was actually powerful. And that's true in many levels and on many senses, and it will be true for her throughout the rest of her career. She developed from last season to this season her running and ball retention skills, but more importantly, she developed her leadership, and she learned to adapt to new and different situations which before would have been her demise and the demise of our team. She learned how to give the team what they need, and that is what led us to one of the things that led us to our ultimate success. She is one of the most prolific runners that we have ever seen, and she can kick the ball straight into next week. She will, I am certain, have a very successful career in rugby, certainly at the college level, and the sky is only the limit. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and join me in honoring Leslie McKinnon with a Major S. And the final word of the evening goes to an athlete who, if you watch any of our games, would be no surprise. Her power word was instinct. When I first watched her in grade 9, I thought, wow, where is everybody else? Her instincts were just bang on. She was there. She came up to play senior the next year, and she was super consistent. But now seeing her in grade 12 playing against bigger and faster players, she makes them look like they're standing still. She will also have a great career, I'm sure, as she goes post-high school on to college and beyond. But this year, the extra special effort I saw is that when we needed the ball, no matter where it was, or no matter how we needed to get it, and no matter how many huge people were lying on it, she came up with it. Her efforts were not just good for her size, they were Herculean. She was amazing. And I think she really did contribute over and over and over again on every single play of the game to making this season a success. So she's not only a winner of a Major S, but also the winner of the Roger Marino Cup for Excellence in Sportsmanship in Rugby. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and join me in honoring Alyssa Bissonnette. Thanks very much, everyone.
Really quickly, I started the evening by saying the coaches, the unbelievable coaches we have at Stanstead College, what can I say? And I think Mr. Colomb encapsulated it pretty well. I don't have the words. I hope all of you felt all the emotion, all the passion, all the excitement. You can tell the coaches aren't ready to move on, and I'm sure most of you aren't either. So please help me in thanking not only the coaches up here with me, but all coaches at Stanstead College. Before ending the evening, I want to give a quick summary of the all-campus competition results and ask the captains of the first place team to come up and accept the trophy and have Mr. Murray take a picture. I'd also like to ask Tal to come up and join us for the picture. As you will see, the all-campus competition was extremely close, and I want to thank all of you for your participation and enthusiasm, and of course, all the faculty for their involvement and encouragement. Finishing in 4th place with a total of 116 points is the East team. Finishing in 3rd place with a total of 121 points is the South team. And the 2nd place and the 1st place were only separated by 1 point. We did recount it a few times. Congratulations to the second place team with 128 points. It was the West team. And the 1st place team with 129 points. If the captains could come up, the North team, please. At this time, I'd like to invite Headmaster Wolfe with some closing remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Benbenick. As you know, this is the final athletic awards ceremony of the year, and it is also the last athletic assembly that will be run by Mr. Benbenick, our athletic director. And as such, I want to thank him for all of his hard work and commitment in the past years in this very important role. You might or might not know that Mr. Benbenick is a very passionate person. He's very dedicated, especially about basketball. If you've ever been on the receiving end of one of his incredibly lengthy emails about the game, you know how much he knows about it, how committed he is to it. And as coach of our varsity boys basketball team, he led that program to unprecedented success here at Stanstead College. And I think I'm right about this. It's 4 straight provincial finals, 3 straight victories, including the last couple of just complete domination, and many of our players going on to play at the next level. Mr. Benbenick is the type of guy who, and I really like this actually for anybody, he just wants to make things better. He's not in there to get a whole bunch of attention for himself or to take glory. He wants to do what will make the program and the athletes better, and that's really what it's all about. He's open to new ideas, he's open to new initiatives, and he's also open to new people. And I think for the guys that are working with him right now, like Tal and Roydell and Ben, that's a real opportunity, because you guys are here to accept some responsibility, take on some responsibility to learn some stuff, and Mr. Benbenick's the type of guy that's going to give that to you and give you the room to do what you need to do. And I really appreciate that, Mr. Benbenick, and I think the guys do as well. And I think these qualities, I'm making it sound like he's going far away. He's not. He's going to move into his new role as the head of our summer programs, where all these qualities are going to serve our school very well. And to quote Mr. Benbenick, at this time, please help me in thanking Mr. Benbenick.
I want to remind everybody before we leave that all major trophy winners stay behind. I certainly want to make sure that we allow all the coaches to leave first, and just also want to thank Mr. Wolfe, all the administration, again, all the coaches, and everyone at Stanstead College. Thank you very much.